You're so sensitive to others' pains? You might be a rare empath chosen one. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a weight in your chest that wasn't yours? Maybe you were perfectly fine moments before, but now, just by standing near someone, you feel sadness, nervousness, or even fear crawling up your spine. You didn't ask for it, you didn't want it, but it's there, and you carry it like it's your own. If you've ever had this experience, I want you to know something. You're not broken, you're not too sensitive. The truth might be far more profound. You might be a rare empath, a chosen one in this age of emotional numbness, selected not by accident, but by some greater design, to feel what others cannot. We live in a world that numbs itself daily. People scroll endlessly, consume distractions, and avoid pain at all costs. But then there's you. You can't shut it off. You feel everything, joy, sorrow, grief, anger. It all comes through you like a tidal wave. You might even find yourself crying over a stranger's story, absorbing a friend's anxiety like it was your own, or feeling drained after simply spending time in a crowded place. And maybe, somewhere along the way, you started to believe this was a curse. But what if I told you that this sensitivity is not a flaw? What if it's your gift?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Being an empath isn't just about feeling deeply, it's about tuning into frequencies that most people have forgotten how to hear. It's about being so open, so raw, so attuned to the emotional undercurrents of the world that you become a living mirror. When someone is near you, they see parts of themselves they didn't know existed. And yes, that can be terrifying for them and for you. But it's also where your power lies. Empaths are the soul alchemists of the world. You transmute pain into understanding, grief into compassion, silence into presence. The world desperately needs that. In fact, without people like you, we might lose our grip on what makes us human. But I won't lie to you, it's not easy. The path of an empath, especially one who is spiritually awakened or awakening, is not a straight line. It's a spiral. A dance between surrender and strength, between knowing and not knowing. You see, when you feel so much, you often don't know what's yours and what isn't. That's one of the first signs that you are not just empathic, but spiritually sensitive at a soul level. You're not just reacting emotionally. Your soul is literally picking up energetic imprints, echoes of trauma, joy, despair, and hope from everything and everyone around you. It's like standing in the middle of an ocean and trying to guess which wave belongs to whom. That's overwhelming. That's exhausting. And that is why so many empaths withdraw. But here's the deeper truth. You weren't made to hide. You were made to transmute. I want to ask you something that might shake you a little. What if the pain you feel from others is actually guiding you to your divine purpose? What if every tear that isn't yours, every ache that doesn't belong to your body, is a message from the universe pointing you toward the work you came here to do? Empaths aren't just feelers, they are healers. But healing doesn't always look like waving a wand or saying the right words. Sometimes healing means being present with someone in their darkness without running. Sometimes it means holding the space so fully that another soul finds the courage to face their demons because they see that you're not afraid of theirs. And let's go deeper, because I know you can handle it. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't. The ancient mystics believed that empaths were born during times of great planetary transformation. They appear to keep the collective heart from closing entirely. And if you look around right now, isn't it obvious? We're standing on the edge of something massive. The old systems are crumbling, people are waking up, and in this chaos, it's the empaths who are feeling it the most. Not because they're weak, but because they are the sensing organs of the Earth's soul. You are the canary in the coal mine. You feel the shifts before others see them. You cry for the world before the world knows it's in pain. And I know that's heavy, but I promise you, it's also holy. Now, let's get brutally honest for a moment, because being chosen, it doesn't always feel good. In fact, most of the time it feels like being cracked open again and again until you're raw, exposed, and unsure if you can keep going. You might isolate yourself. You might question your sanity. You might feel like you're drowning in a sea of other people's energy. And yet, you keep showing up. You keep feeling. You keep caring. That's not weakness. That's spiritual resilience. But you need boundaries. That's the paradox of the empath. You were born to be open, but you must learn to protect your sacred space, not with walls, but with wisdom. Ask yourself, do I know where I end and others begin? If not, your gift will become your burden. You'll absorb until you collapse. You'll give until you're empty. So here's one of the first lessons of the chosen empath. You must learn to discern energy. Not just feel it, but recognize it, name it, and release what isn't yours. This takes practice, presence, and a deep commitment to your own healing, because if you're not grounded, you can't be a lighthouse for anyone else. Let me give you something practical. Every day, take 5 minutes to return to yourself. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart and ask, what am I carrying that isn't mine? Breathe in, and as you breathe out, release it. Visualize it leaving your body like smoke carried away by the wind. It might feel symbolic, but your soul knows the truth. It works. Over time, this one practice can change everything. And if you're wondering why you were chosen, why you, out of billions, feel so deeply, it's because your soul is ancient. You've done this before. You've stood at the edge of transformation in past lives, holding the light when others could not. And now you're here again, at this crossroads. That's not coincidence. That's destiny. But you are not alone. There are others like you, scattered like stars across the globe, each one feeling, healing, and awakening. And when you begin to find them, to gather to speak your truth, you'll realize something beautiful. You were never meant to carry this alone. So ask yourself now, not with fear, but with fierce curiosity, what am I here to heal? Not just in others, but in myself. Because the deeper your self-healing, the more powerful your presence becomes. And sometimes, just your presence is enough to shift an entire room. The sacred curse of feeling too much, why the world's pain is your initiation. There comes a moment in every empath's life where they ask, why me? Why do I feel so much? Why do I absorb the pain of others like a sponge left in a flood? Why can't I just walk through this life like everyone else seems to, untouched, unshaken, unmoved? And the answer, though simple, is not easy, because your soul said yes. Before you ever came into this body, before you entered this timeline, you agreed to something sacred. You agreed to be awake in a sleeping world. You agreed to feel in a time when numbness is worshipped. You agreed to carry the lamp into the dark forest, not because you were fearless, but because you knew the darkness would try to make you forget your own light, and that remembering would become your greatest initiation. Feeling too much is not a mistake, it is the curriculum of your soul. The pain you carry does not mean you are broken, it means you are being broken open. And yes, that hurts, it's supposed to, because only by feeling the full spectrum of human emotion, only by truly allowing yourself to taste the bitterness of grief, the sting of betrayal, the weight of collective fear, can you begin to understand the medicine you carry. But most people run from pain. They numb it, avoid it, deny it. You sit with it. You listen to it. You cradle it like a wounded child, because somewhere deep down, you know pain speaks a language that truth understands. And your ability to listen without judgment, to feel without collapsing, to be pierced and still remain standing, that is the mark of someone who has been chosen to walk the path of the awakened empath. Let me ask you something that might change your life. What if your sensitivity isn't the wound, but the doorway? What if everything you've ever felt, every moment that made you want to disappear, every emotion that left you breathless, was actually guiding you to the temple within yourself? The one place where true power lives. The heart. You see, the heart isn't just an organ. It's a portal. It's the seat of consciousness, the throne of your soul. And when you feel deeply through the heart, you're not just reacting, you're remembering. You're remembering who you are beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning, beneath the trauma. You are remembering your divine architecture, and the more you remember, the more you awaken. And the more you awaken, the more the world begins to reflect that awakening back to you. But there's a cost, because when you awaken, you can no longer pretend. You can no longer participate in the illusions that keep the world asleep. You can no longer tolerate relationships that drain you, environments that numb you, or conversations that betray your truth. You start to say no to things, to people, to patterns that you once said yes to. And that can be lonely. That can be terrifying. That can make you feel like an alien in your own life. But that too is part of the initiation. You are not here to fit in. You are here to remember. You are here to embody a new way of being, a way that honors emotion as wisdom, that sees sensitivity as strength, that understands pain not as punishment, but as passage. And when you begin to live from that place, everything changes. You stop trying to escape the pain. You start asking it questions. What are you here to show me? What am I still holding that no longer belongs? What part of me is asking to be loved through this discomfort? And suddenly the pain becomes less of a monster and more of a mentor. It stops being something you run from and becomes something you learn from. And that shift, though subtle, is revolutionary, because when you stop fearing your sensitivity, you start wielding it. Like a tuning fork, your energy begins to resonate at a frequency that others can feel. You walk into a room and people soften. They breathe deeper. They feel safer, not because you fixed them, but because you were fully present with them. And that is the greatest gift an empath can give. Presence. Deep, grounded, heartled presence. Moye. The empath love's presence, on the other hand, is often the kind that says, you don't have to hide here. I see you, I feel you, and I'm not afraid. But to offer that presence to others, you must first offer it to yourself. You must become the sanctuary you've been searching for. You must become the safe space you crave, and that means doing the work, the shadow work, the inner child work, the ancestral healing, the energetic hygiene, the boundaries, the rituals, the stillness, because this path isn't easy, but it's real. And in a world drowning in illusion, real is the most valuable thing you can be. The empath's awakening, unlocking the hidden power behind your sensitivity. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is stirring, something ancient, something fierce, something real. Your heart has been whispering that your sensitivity is not a punishment, it's an invitation. And now the time has come to say yes to that invitation. To awaken not just as someone who feels too much, but as someone who knows how to transmute what they feel into power, purpose, and presence. This is the moment where the empath stops surviving and starts awakening. You see, up until now, you might have been in survival mode, feeling everything, carrying everything, but not knowing what to do with it. You've probably spent years, maybe even lifetimes, trying to protect yourself through isolation, people-pleasing, perfectionism, or emotional shutdown. And I get it. That was your nervous system's way of trying to keep you safe in a world that often misunderstands sensitivity as weakness. But now that you're awakening, you begin to see that your sensitivity is a superpower that was simply waiting for the right conditions to activate. And those conditions begin inside you. The first key to unlocking your empathic power is sovereignty. You must reclaim your energy. You must stop leaking your life force into people, places, and patterns that do not align with your soul. That means learning to recognize when your energy is being hijacked, when you feel drained after a conversation. Pay attention. When your body tenses around certain people, listen. When your intuition whispers no, but your conditioning says yes, pause, because the more you honor what you feel, the more you step into your truth. And the truth is, most empaths have spent their entire lives abandoning themselves to meet the needs of others. You've been so focused on making others comfortable that you've forgotten what your own comfort feels like. But that time is over. This is your awakening. This is your return. And as you return to yourself, something miraculous begins to happen: discernment. You start to see what energy is yours and what is not. You start to understand the difference between empathy and enmeshment. You realize that feeling someone's pain doesn't mean you have to carry it. That being compassionate doesn't mean being consumed. You are not here to absorb everyone's suffering. You are here to witness it with love, without losing yourself in it. Let me say that again, because it's the turning point of everything. You are here to witness, not to rescue, to feel, not to fix, to love, not to lose yourself. This is the moment your sensitivity transforms into wisdom. You become the calm in the storm, not because the storm doesn't touch you, but because you've learned how to anchor yourself in the eye of it. You no longer fear emotion. You no longer fear being overwhelmed, because now you know nothing can drown you when you remember to breathe. And breathing, conscious breathing, is one of the most powerful tools you have. When emotions rise like waves, your breath is the shore. It brings you back. It grounds you in the now. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, just stop. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply, hold, exhale slowly, and remind yourself, this energy is moving through me. It is not me. I am the sky, not the storm. You begin to embody emotional mastery, not through control, but through surrender. You stop resisting the tides and instead learn to surf them. And in doing so, you become a lighthouse. Others feel it. They sense your calm. They feel your groundedness. And without even knowing why, they trust you. They open up. They soften. Because your presence is medicine. But let's take it deeper. Because awakening is not just about protecting your energy, it's about channeling it, creating with it, healing with it. What if I told you that your sensitivity is not just emotional, but creative? That you were born to turn energy into art, into poetry, into music, into healing, into vision? What if every feeling you've ever had is raw material for your purpose? Empaths are creators. You feel the textures of life so richly because you are meant to give them form. You are meant to take the formless, emotion, energy, insight, and shape it into something others can touch. That might mean becoming a healer, a writer, a guide, a teacher, an artist, a leader, not by efforting, but by expressing, by allowing your truth to move through you unapologetically. So here's the question I want to leave you with. What is your sensitivity asking you to create? Not for validation, not for applause, but because your soul cannot not create. Because your hands burn with the need to bring beauty into the world, and your heart aches with the knowing that your voice has something to say. This is the hidden power of the empath, not just to feel, but to transform, to alchemize, to bring light into dark places, not by force, but by frequency. And when you begin to live like that, when your life becomes a transmission of presence and purpose, everything begins to shift. You stop chasing, you start attracting. You stop shrinking, you start expanding. You stop fearing your gift, you start using it, becoming a lighthouse. How to thrive as a chosen empath in a numb world. Now that you've begun to awaken, now that you've seen there is a sacred design to your sensitivity, the final question remains: how do you live as a chosen empath in a world that still runs from feeling? How do you thrive when the world seems to reward numbness, distraction, and detachment? The answer, like all things true, is both simple and profound. You don't adapt to the world. You become the lighthouse that guides it home. To thrive as an empath, you must stop bending yourself to fit into the mold of others. You must stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You were not born to blend in. You were born to illuminate. And illumination begins with authenticity. That means honoring your truth, even when it's inconvenient. That means saying no when your body contracts, even if your mind tries to rationalize a yes. That means speaking from your heart, even when your voice shakes. Authenticity is magnetic. When you live from a place of deep alignment, when your words, actions, and energy reflect your inner truth, people feel it, and more than that, they remember something ancient in themselves. That's the real gift of your presence as an empath. You don't have to fix people, you don't have to save them, you just have to be real. And in your realness, others find permission to be real too. But let's be honest, being a lighthouse isn't always glamorous. It means standing tall in the storm, shining your light even when no one thanks you, even when no one sees you, even when the waves crash over you. It means holding your ground when others try to project their fears onto you, when they don't understand your depth, when they call your clarity too much. But you know better now. You know that your light is not too much. It's medicine, and the world is starving for it. To thrive as an empath also means cultivating practices that nourish your soul. You must become intentional with your energy. That means creating daily rituals that bring you back to yourself. Morning solitude, breathwork, journaling, nature, movement, stillness. Whatever anchors you in your center, make it non-negotiable. In a world that pulls you in 1,000 directions, stillness is your rebellion. Presence is your protection. And boundaries are your sacred shield. Not walls built out of fear, but energetic filters built out of self-respect. You must learn to say, "This energy is not mine. I return it to its source with love." You must learn to trust your intuition the first time, not after it's screamed at you for weeks. Your body knows, your gut knows, your heart knows, and the more you listen, the louder the guidance becomes. Let's not forget, thriving also means surrounding yourself with soul-aligned people. Not everyone can meet you in your depth, and that's okay. You're not here for everyone. You're here for those who speak your language, even in silence. For those who don't just tolerate your sensitivity, but cherish it. For those who see your empathy not as fragility, but as strength. You deserve to be seen, and you don't have to earn that. You just have to allow it. And maybe the most important part of thriving, you must learn to receive. As an empath, you've probably spent your whole life giving, your time, your energy, your emotional labor, but now you must open your heart to receiving just as deeply. Love, rest, joy, support, healing. You are not here to pour from an empty cup. You are not here to be a martyr for other people's growth. You are here to embody fullness, because when you overflow, your presence becomes a blessing to everyone around you. So I'll leave you with this. What does your soul need to feel full? Not what the world demands, not what others expect, but what you truly need to feel nourished, sustained, and alive. Ask yourself that question every day. Let it guide you. Let it shape your choices, because the more you choose yourself, the more your light grows. And the more your light grows, the more others remember their own. You are not too sensitive, you are exquisitely attuned. You are not broken, you are breaking open. You are not weak, you are wildly, deeply, divinely strong. You are the empath, the chosen one, the lighthouse in a world of fog, and your presence is a reminder that love still lives here. Keep shining. The world needs your light more than ever.